cabinet. So then all of a sudden our imagination's going to take off. So.
Oh, Solomon, I do love you.
Nice.
I do love you. So his videos are very respectful about ancient peoples and shit talking colonialism.
Nice. Yeah.
You know, that's in this country, one of the things that we run into all the time is they will say, well, Cincinnati was settled by, these basically, white Mero Europeans, right? Forgetting entirely that there were people here beforehand, talking all the sorts of things, discovery versus invasion, right? Settling versus colonization. It's interesting the words that are used, and yet the action is very similar too.
Yeah, I mean, we were just having this conversation. I was thinking maybe I shouldn't take the conversation this direction, but we can always come back to something else. But we were just recently, is a theory. It's basically been debunked, but it's still in textbooks. It's still in a lot of educational source material.
Mm-hmm.
And people love that story because they grew up with it. And that's the part of the woke people don't like. They don't want to hear that what they grew up with was inaccurate or not complete. So even if you just do the basic numbers of the number of people who were on the North American continent prior to anyone coming across a land bridge, the numbers don't make sense. People don't. There's that issue. Not to mention that through DNA, they've discovered that while some people might be connected to Eurasians through DNA, there's other native people who are not connected. They don't match any DNA from that side of the world. So where did they come from? So you've got to have many points of departure, aka many points of arrival. And then you have those guys who, within the last couple of years, maybe 3 years, discovered mastodon bones processed, dating back to roughly 170,000 years ago, which puts humans in North America well before the land bridge theory would have, which would be somewhere between, I think the argument was 13 to 30,000 years, but most people settled 13,000 years. And then you also counter that with the fact that we've found civilizations in eastern United States older than 20,000 years ago. So that in of itself questions the land bridge. But that's why they say, oh, well, it could have been 13 to 30,000, So anyway.
And it's no surprise because what we see is when we study history, we see several lenses that we're looking through. So if you can imagine, you've got a pair of glasses and a pair of sunglasses and then another pair of glasses on top of that, right? And some of those lenses are the theory that we are developing, the idea that time is a trajectory and that we're getting more evolved and better. There's no proof of this.
But every civilization does want to believe, well, we're better than those guys.
We're more evolved,
yeah.
Right? And we point to things and discount other things, right? So this notion that we're all getting better, that we're becoming more advanced, that we're doing this, we're doing that. And then yes.
Wow.
Now that's Solomon. I am totally interested in that looting that happened there. That is so fascinating.
Yeah.
But that feeling that we're getting better, right? So nobody wants to hear in the ancient world, like on the island of Crete, they had running water, flushing toilets, hot showers, and the thing they valued was time, good food, and their beautiful hair,
Right.
Because if we compare it today, where you might be sitting in a cubicle chained to your tech and unable to leave, and then you go home,
yeah,
to eat processed food, which is tearing apart the planet, to live separately and not have strong human connections, and you say, oh, we're doing so much better,
Well, that was the argument with the settlers who said the natives were too idle.
Mm-hmm.
Why were they too idle? because they weren't looking for precious metals for the settlers. So they
Yeah.
were then enslaved to look for precious metals.